Marsha P. Johnson, a true pioneer in history. Marsha P. Johnson is truly a legend, especially in the queer community. Most known for her large impact during the period of time known as the Stonewall Riots and the start of the first Pride parades, Marsha has become quite an important figure in queer history. Marsha P. Johnson was born a boy on August 24, 1945, in Elizabeth, New Jersey. She was born into an extremely Christian family with conservative views, meaning anything having to do with being queer was a big no-no for her growing up. Despite her family's values, at a young age, Marsha's desire for traditional feminine clothing grew. This definitely didn't make the people around her happy, especially her mother and father, Malcolm Michaels and Alberta Claiborne. Along with her mother and father, others around her would often shame her for her girly tendencies. When Marsha graduated from Thomas A. Edison High School in 1963, she moved to New York's Greenwich Village. She was said to only have $15 and a bag of clothes with her at the time. Although she was homeless, moving to New York was one of the best decisions Marsha could have ever made, as when she moved, she found what is called Christopher Street, the street that would lead her to become a well-known trans rights activist, as well as where she would find out that she was indeed as woman as they come. On Christopher Street, there was a well-known gay bar named the Stonewall Inn. The bar was a very welcoming place who accepted everyone in terms of race and sexuality, of course. Unfortunately, this bar was subject to a multitude of police raids, often made at gay bars at New York City, due to the police claiming that the alcohol sold at these clubs would make the homosexuals disorderly. It got to the point that it was not only known gay bars being targeted, any bar suspected to be housing someone queer would be subjected to these police raids. On June 28, 1969, a scheduled police raid occurred at the Stonewall Inn. Marsha was there on that night and was arrested and harassed along with 50-plus people by the police that night. When another unusually cruel police raid took place the upcoming Saturday, and Marsha was arrested once again for no apparent reason, she decided she was fed up with this treatment she was receiving. She returned to the Stonewall Inn the next day to see it lit up in flames. Due to these continuous, unfair, and cruel police raids, a movement known as the Stonewall Uprising came to be. Marsha and her good friend Sylvia Rivera, another trans rights activist, were big parts of this movement. The Stonewall Uprising was a series of protests against the police raids that took place all around New York City. Queer people would come together and march to protest what little rights they had. Sound familiar? Well, it should. The Stonewall Uprising was how the first ever Pride parades were first developed in the 1970s. The uprising is what sprung the fight for LGBTQ+ rights into full swing, leading to the fight of basic rights in the community. Marsha P. Johnson was an advocate for so many people. She, along with her friend Sylvia Rivera, founded the Star Foundation. They fed and clothed queer homeless children through this foundation. Along with that, she founded the Gay Liberation Fund, which allowed her to advocate for the rights of the queer community. Not to mention her involvement of the very start of the Pride parades, a celebration that reminds queer people of the hard fight for rights and how proud we should be of ourselves. We wouldn't have that if it wasn't for her. Marsha wasn't only a queer rights activist. Marsha was known to have toured Europe and America dancing and performing with her avant-drag performance group, Hot Peaches. She spent most of her life advocating for the queer community's rights as well as enjoying everything the world has to offer her. Unfortunately, on July 6, 1992, Marsha died. She was found drowned in the Hudson River. Her death was ruled a suicide, though many suspected it was a murder. Marsha P. Johnson had a very large impact on the world. It's unfortunately very common for queer people to be mistreated, not to mention Black people who are a part of the LGBTQ+ community. Helping start foundations that help out people of all races and sexualities impacted the world in such a positive way. It shows that despite your sexuality, you deserve equality because in the end, we're all human. The end.